Hello, everybody. It's Nancy Chapple Smokler here with South Simcoe Theatre, and I'm very pleased to welcome our second of two Playwright interviewees, Mr. Guy Newsham, who wrote the play from last evening called Alexa the Liar. Welcome.
Thank you, Nancy. Nice to be here.
We're very pleased to have you. Let's first of all give our listeners a little bit of a background. I'll tell you a bit about Guy, and then we'll go right into the questions. So although he's currently based in Ottawa, Guy is originally from England. He's currently a member of the Playwrights Guild of Canada and the Playwrights Centre. He's a regular actor in local community theatre by night and a scientist at Canada's National Research Council by day, where his research focuses on making buildings more sustainable. Guy's plays have been successful in multiple competitions and festivals, and Alexa the Liar is no exception, having been performed over the last few months in a number of festivals in the US. And in fact, you were double screening because you were watching Alexa the Liar, and then thereafter, I understand another one of your works was being performed in New York City.
That's correct. That was a brand new play called The Beautiful Boats that gave me my off-Broadway debut, if we can define this virtual world as off-Broadway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Take it and run with it. Off-Broadway, absolutely. That's wonderful. So this play we saw last evening obviously talks, it's a lot about humans and it's a lot about artificial intelligence. So what prompted you to write a play that focuses on this intersection of the artificial and emotional intelligence, the world of dating, and ultimately finding true love?
Well, the genesis of the play was about 2.5 years ago, I think, when I was staying with my sister, and she had just got her Alexa. I don't have one. So we were doing what everybody does with Alexa, which was asking her stupid questions and seeing if we could get stupid answers. And it just occurred to me in that process that we've all come to assume that the answers we get from Alexa are the truth. Or maybe from the internet in general. I saw one commentator say that they think that we've replaced our parish priest with Google now as the source of all wisdom. So my simple thought was, well, what happened if Alexa deliberately starts telling us the wrong thing, that's something that isn't true? How might that cause problems for people? So that was kind of the genesis of it. I wasn't thinking specifically about Alexa the matchmaker as where it ends up, I guess, in the play that was written. That wasn't the original kind of trajectory. It was originally just thinking about this idea of artificial intelligence and what it means and how we take it for granted. But then throwing in another very common, I guess, internet situation these days, which is online dating, and having that intersection was a nice way to sort of bring things together. If you don't mind, I'll talk a bit more about how the players come to stage as well at this point, because before I forget, I want to give a big thumbs up to Michael Halfin at the Newmarket National Play Festival, which is the 10-minute festival in Newmarket, which gave me my first production back in 2018, and then I got a second production in 2019, and at that time there was also a chance to do a public reading of something new that the playwrights were working on. So that was when I first exposed Alexa the Liar to the public in that reading. That went well, and from then on I started submitting it to various festivals.
Oh, because that Newmarket Festival is indeed in our backyard. It's just down the road from us, so exactly. we're very familiar with that in this neck of the woods. That's really interesting. That's cool that it got its genesis, or its outing, its first outing, shall we say, in that format. So this seems like a really perfect kind of a play for a pandemic world, from a staging perspective in particular, I guess. So you got technically you've got one actor on stage, you've got two voiceover characters. So did you write this during the pandemic? Obviously, I guess it doesn't sound like you did. You started it considerably earlier, but it's a neat transition that it's turned out that this is the staging in this particular day and age is perfect for this. So having said that, how do you feel that it in this way has translated onto the small screen / staged reading format. And if you hadn't performed it in this kind of a medium before, has it made you want to adapt or change it for this type of online media, or is it something that you've even had a chance to sort of think about?
Yeah, good question. So yes, you're right. It obviously was not written. It was written pre-COVID. It wasn't written with the expectation of a online performance in any way. Although, once that happened, and once the festivals and competitions that were out there clearly said they were looking for things that could be done virtually, I certainly proposed to them that this one could make a fairly easy transition to the virtual format, as you say, and that has, I guess, been proven to be true. I've actually seen the play is now being performed by three different companies in three different locations in three very different online ways. And I think South Simcoe actually was the first one to take the play, but because your schedule was then postponed for a while,
Mm.
other companies came in, and so it was performed in January in California and by another company in Florida. And the company in California chose to do it as a sort of a short film. They pre-filmed it and made it very look in style very much like a film as opposed to a play.
Mm.
Although there was still only one live actor and voiceovers.
Right.
The folks in Florida, I guess the rules in Florida are a bit more relaxed. So they actually did a stage performance with an audience, a sellout audience of 10. They were only allowed 10 people in there, but they still did it on stage. And so in that case, it was a streamed performance with live actors done live, but again with the two voiceovers off stage. And then the South Simcoe production was something different again, with in particular with the Alexa and Siri being visible to the audience, and that brought something different again to the process. So I've actually been lucky to see it done three different ways, and which is great for a playwright to see what the other creatives bring to it. And one of the things that I've realized in that process is that only about half the play is the words on the page, and the directors and the actors bring so much more to it and make it definitely new. And it's now been picked up by another 3 festivals and competitions.
Fantastic.
Again in the virtual format. So I guess people find that it works.
Well, again, as I say, I think it's, even though I know your intention wasn't to write it in that format, it's a perfect format for a group to be able to do either virtually or in live, because you can, as I say, you can distance easily, and it just lends itself. It lends itself to this climate right now. Obviously we're all looking forward to the time when we can get back to doing it safely on the stage. And I'm sure it'll take on another life of its own then, because it's a really enjoyable, entertaining play. And I think people really, really enjoyed it. So as a playwright, because you've got you've got a day job as well as your playwriting, how do you draw upon your experiences as an actor as well? Because you, like so many of us, also do a lot of community theater. How do you draw upon your experiences as an actor along with the world of science, and how do you synthesize these reasonably disparate activities?
I think the only way I could tangibly talk about experience as an actor would be that I do, I read all my plays out loud to myself before I ask other people to read them and invite other friends to read them with me. But I always do a lot of reading to myself over and over again. So just making sure that the lines sound like words that real people would say and real people can say. If you can't say it, or it starts to lose its path halfway through a sentence or a speech, then from the actor's perspective, then it's wrong. It doesn't. You have to say it some other way, no matter what you have in your head as a playwright. You have to do something different, because it won't come out of an actor's mouth very well. So I think that's all I would say really on the actor side. On the scientist side, I mean, I haven't really deliberately until very recently tried to write a science play. I suppose Alexa the Liar with the artificial intelligence spin on it was maybe a little bit sciencey, but I have just finished a full-length play that was deliberately a science play.
Mm.
That was, well, to do with cold fusion, if you've heard of that concept. Nuclear energy from at room temperature. So I just finished a full length on that. I haven't even workshopped it or anything so far, but that was a sort of a science specific play. And I would like to try and do something then and take advantage of maybe a unique experience or perspective that I might have. Because it can be interesting on stage if it's done right.
Oh, sure. I'm sure it could be. Absolutely. And you would bring an awful lot of, again, a lot of interesting ideas, because it's not as a playwright just with that sort of, if you want to say, a narrow focus just on the world of science. You're an actor, you're a writer, so you bring all those kind of sort of more soft things to your playwriting, as well as the sort of the scientific, more intellectual pieces of it. So I can imagine it would be quite a wonderful marriage of thoughts.
I mean, I think maybe the other way that I bring my science perspective to writing is that I'm kind of I'm very organized, and I always want to follow the rules and not have a particular trajectory that I'm going to follow, and I need to make sure that this is done and this is done, and so I'm quite kind of precise in that way, which can be a strength and a limitation, but that's just the way I am.
But then, being able to recognize that it can have its pitfalls as well as its bonuses, that you can probably manage your way through that. So that's a good way to look at it too. I like organization too. I feel you on that one. So given the current state of affairs, pandemic as it still is, although we do hope that things are moving along in a way that'll get us back to living a more or less normal life, although I think nothing will ever really be normal again. It will look different in any case. And there's obviously going to be more of a focus on streamed productions, or at least having this as a different alternative to live theater that maybe we hadn't tapped into as much previously. So has this prompted you to adjust your approach to playwriting in any way?
Well, I resisted for a long time deliberately writing something which was Zoom specific. I mean, a lot of stuff that's come out over the last year has been in the play is the context of a Zoom meeting like this one, first date on Zoom, or workplace get together on Zoom. So that deliberately done that way, and I resisted that for a long time. And I also resisted writing a COVID play for a long time as well, but finally wrote one, although it wasn't specific for performance online. I suppose it could be. But this last play that we talked about at the very beginning, the one that was just performed for the first time last night in New York, that was deliberately written for the Zoom format with two characters who are engaged in an online meeting like this one. So that's the first time I've done that. I don't think it'll ever be my natural tendency. But I do agree with you that, well, because I so much want to get back to doing things live. But I do agree with you that I think, just like in the workplace, we imagine that going forward, virtual meetings are going to be now inevitably part of our future for a long time to come, if not forever. I was talking to some of my colleagues the other day about scientific conferences. I imagine scientific conferences will always have to have a virtual track now, forever. And that means that many people, as I'm sure you found actually with the South Simcoe Festival, many people who can't geographically get there can participate from a greater distance in a different way. So I think you're right. I think theaters are going to have to figure out some other kind of way of live streaming or recording things and posting it afterwards, because it'll be what's expected, and probably a really good way of democratizing theatre. I mean, certainly for a lot of the things that we'd like to go and see at Stratford or in New York or in
Hmm.
London, you can't
Hmm.
always go.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. And
maybe
certainly those places have jumped on the bandwagon, and Stratford is Stratford at home, and the Shaw, and of course National Theatre Live, which is it's again, it gives us an opportunity to see things that we might not otherwise be able to see. So I think you're right. I think we are going to have to, and I know a lot of companies are rethinking it, but I think in general, I think we're going to have to. It's not just going to be yesterday's flavor. It's going to be with us in some form, I think, for some time to come.
And I think
So.
the challenge for theatres, particularly community theatres, if they want to go down that line, of course, is going to be technical. I mean, you have to put in a
Mhm.
lot of effort and resources into having good sound quality, good video quality, to make it a worthwhile experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so then, for you, what's next on your horizon as a playwright?
Oh, well, uh, COVID has been very productive for me in terms of writing. I know some people have gone the other way, and they yearned for years and years to have all this free time to write, and once they got it, they they didn't know what to do because
Mhm.
the rest of their life was so messed up they couldn't focus on writing anyway.
Mhm.
It's been pretty productive for me. So I've finished. Well, I've written 2 new full-length plays, finished another one, wrote a one-act play, and 2 or 3 new 10-minute plays. So I got lots of things done. So
Wow.
I think in the near future, my focus is going to be on marketing them or getting them out to festivals
Mhm.
and competitions and trying to get them produced one way or another. I mean, there are fewer opportunities, I think, because of COVID. A lot of places that would be committed to doing things live are just
Mhm.
in abeyance right now, and haven't gone for a virtual version. So I think
Mhm.
there are fewer opportunities, but my focus is now getting them out there.
Well, that certainly sounds like you've put this time to incredibly good use. That's amazing to see that. So I think that really is all I wanted to ask you. And I think our listeners, as they say, or the people that watched it last night, the feedback that I got was, wow, people really liked it. I know the cast really enjoyed performing it. And it also was something that maybe not everybody know, but the fella, the gentleman and the director were both in Kingston, and the other two actors were in Barrie and Aurelia, respectively. So I think again, it's neat to see um, how this can bring people together, because the two in Kingston, because they're both at school right now, they wouldn't have been able to participate otherwise. So again, it democratizes, it makes it a little more ecumenical. It's nice to be able, I think, to again open the doors maybe a little more broadly than we might have been able to do before. So Guy Newsham, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I'm going to, again, at the end of this, I will put up your website so that people can learn more about you. And I know that you will put information up there about where your other plays are being performed. So if people are interested in following your work and seeing where you're being performed, this is a great way to find your information. Thank you. Thank you again for being with us. And we look forward to hearing more from you and seeing more of your works performed live and streamed as well.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope to work with South Simcoe again sometime.
Well, you know where to find us, and we're going to definitely reach out to you. So thank you very much, and take care. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.